welcome to Scholars Academy. This is our second lecture about economics, and in this lecture we will be talking a little bit about opportunity costs and very little in the end of the video about trade. About trade we'll be talking about in our following videos deeply, but in this video we'll just look at simple examples and analyze them. Let's get started with opportunity cost. To find opportunity costs, we'll be using our previous lectures. What we discussed in our previous lectures was production possibilities frontier. We'll be drawing production possibilities frontier for gardener and for farmer separately, and for that again we'll use simple examples, and we'll have here two producers, as I said, gardener and the farmer, and we'll have two goods. One will be meat and the second one will be potatoes, and I donated them with M and P. We will be saying that for gardener it takes 6 hours to produce 1 kilogram of meat and 1.5 hours to produce 1 kilogram of potatoes, and also it takes 2 hours for farmer to produce 1 kilogram of meat and 1 hour to produce 1 kilogram of potatoes. And we'll consider that we have only one resource, which is time. We have only one resource, which is time, and for both they have 48 hours. And in 48 hours, when we do simple calculation, we will have 8 kilogram of meat and 24 kilogram of for farmer, and for potatoes for gardener for 32 kilogram of potatoes and 48 kilogram of potatoes for farmer. This is their productivity in 48 hours. 48 hours is resource for both, and here we'll draw production possibilities frontier for both. We'll have meat and potatoes, meat and potatoes. 8 kilogram of potatoes and 32 kilogram of potatoes. We'll combine these points, and here 24 kilogram of and 48 kilogram of potatoes. We'll combine this, and this is the production possibilities frontier for both. And when they decide to trade with each other, we'll see that they will end up with better points. If we consider that they are in this point, and for farmer he's in this point, we'll donate this with A and B. He will be producing these numbers. When you calculate that, you will see those are correct, and 16 and 4. They are now, without trading with each other, they are now in these points. But when they decide to trade with each other, when they are in these points are the best points without trading each other for both. But when they decide with trade, gardener decide to not producing any of meat but 32 kilogram of potatoes. In this point, he will be in this point, and farmer decides to produce 18 kilogram of meat and 12 kilogram of potatoes. He will be this point. We will donate this with D. And when they decide to trade, farmer will give 5 kilograms of his meat to gardener, and in this case gardener will have 5 kilograms of meat, and instead of it, gardener will give 15 kilograms of his potatoes to farmer, and he will have 17 kilograms of potatoes, and he will be in this point. This point will be donated with E, is located upper than this point A. It means that gardener is better off. And for farmer this is also true, because when he give his 5 kilograms of meat to gardener, he will have 13 kilograms of meat, and when he got 15 kilograms of potatoes, and then he will have 27 kilograms of potatoes. When we combine these points, we'll have this point here. We will donate with H. It is again upper than this B point, which was the point without trade. And this is the simple example of trade. And now we'll be calculating opportunity cost. For gardener, opportunity cost of producing one meat will be 8 divided by 32. This means 1.4. This means that if gardener wants to produce 1 kilogram of potatoes, he must give up 1 divided by 4 kilogram of meat. And this is the vice versa of it also is true. When gardener wants to produce 1 kilogram of potatoes, 1 kilogram of meat, 1 kilogram of meat, he must give up 4 kilogram of his potatoes. And this now we'll be calculating it for gardener. When gardener wants to produce 1 kilogram of potatoes, he must give up 1 divided by 2 kilogram of his meat. But when he wants to produce 1 kilogram of meat, he must give up his 2 kilogram of potatoes. This is the opportunity cost. And now we derive two theories from opportunity cost, which is, one is comparative advantage and the second one is absolute advantage. When we talk about absolute advantage, this means that absolute advantage is calculated by their productivity. In this case, for both goods, absolute advantage is on farmer. He has more productivity. But for comparative advantage, whose opportunity cost is less, he has comparative advantage. In this case, gardener has comparative advantage of producing potatoes, but farmer has comparative advantage of producing meat. Thank you. This is please, if you like it, please subscribe our channel to see the the rest of the videos. Thank you.